Smooth 98.1, love music, love life, 15 minutes past 5 p.m. this lovely Monday evening, 19th day of February 2024. You're tuned into the Smooth Drive with Joy and Ayo, your companions all the way on this fine evening. But it's time to get into the marketplace. Yes, people, time to have a conversation about the market's latest
Mhm.
developments, about the economy, and everything within that space. Always an interesting time to have these conversations. And today we're going to be talking about something that resonates with everyone out there, something everyone has been talking about. It's been all over the news
Mm.
and it's on the lips of a lot of Nigerians right now. And it has to do with the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Naira, specifically the governor of the central bank, Yemi Cardoso, and the difficult job that he has on his hands right now. And joining us to have this conversation this evening is Patrick Atuanya. He is the publisher of MoneyCentral Media Limited. Very good evening to you, Patrick. Great to have you on the show once again.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here to discuss this important topic that's everybody is talking about. It's on the lips of everybody. The free fall of
Mm.
what
Free fall of the
the government
Naira, indeed.
about it. Yeah.
Mm.
Right. And I think important is probably putting it mildly, but we still need to break it all down to have a better understanding of where we are right now and where it is that we're going. Where we're going is very crucial. And you can be a part of the conversation by sending your thoughts into us on WhatsApp. Any questions you might have for Patrick, any observations, or any thoughts, any contributions on the matter, you can send them in to us on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 440 981. Is the WhatsApp number. And we're also streaming live on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. So you can see what we're up to, what Joy looks like, what Aya looks like, what Patrick looks like as well. And all the BTS behind the scenes. Look at me feeling all Gen Z like. Joining the conversation. We love when you're a part of it. All right, so
Mm.
Patrick, straight into the matter. Does CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso have the second most difficult job in the world right now?
Well, he'll have to let us know what's the most difficult job, right? I don't think he said anything about that, did he?
Well,
Um,
probably the president's job is the most difficult. President of Nigeria's job is
I
okay.
most
think
difficult
so.
right now.
All right. So in my opinion, I don't think so. The Central Bank of Argentina, Zimbabwe, North Korea, Cuba, even China, right? They're going through tough times right now.
Mm.
China is the second largest economy in the world, and they going through pretty difficult times with their property sector. I'm sure the central banks there are, having a real tough time trying to grapple with a lot of what's happening.
Mm.
But again, this is not where we want to be, right? So we don't want to be in the company of Argentina and Zimbabwe and North
Mm.
Korea, right? We want to be amongst the respected economies in the world.
Yeah.
I think Cardoso has to, in my opinion, he has to stop with the complaining and get on with the
Mm.
job. Of course, there are a lot of dilemmas facing the CBN governor right now. He has a growth versus inflation dilemma, right? So the inflation is so high and the economy is, not doing very well. So if he
Right.
raises rates so much, it's going to even hit cost of funds, ability of companies to hire, ability of companies to pay back their loans,
Mm.
just cost of doing business, right? But he needs to raise rates to help fight inflation. He's also facing the dilemma of dollar supply versus the level of the FX exchange rate.
Mhm.
So one thing a lot of the investors have been demanding is that the exchange rate should hit equilibrium level before they bring their money in. And but what we're seeing now is that it's going down every day, and nobody knows where equilibrium is. Of
Okay.
course, if you do the mathematics, for those that have the models, the rate of inflation also has an impact on where your exchange rate should be. So with
Mm.
inflation so high, I think It's also affecting theoretically where when people model where the fair value of the exchange rate should be, is also affecting it. So he has a lot of things in his plate. He even has the dilemma of office space, right? Which should not be a big deal.
That's
Trying to make
a
some
lot of
office
things going on.
more effective regulation of the banks and other financial institutions, and it became a problem. So I think he has a tough job. I don't think it's the second most difficult in the world. I think there are more serious, more places like Zimbabwe where inflation was as high as 1,000,000%, or even Argentina. I mean, those are real bad cases. But we don't want to get there, right?
Most definitely
So I
not.
think it should quit with the complaining and just get on with the job. That's what Nigerians demand.
All right, but yes, indeed, we know the Nigerians are demanding that he gets on with the job. But do you think that his job is actually being made more difficult seeing Nigeria's circumstances?
Yeah. Again, I don't want to sound flippant, right? I sympathize with what's going on.
Okay.
He came in at the tail end of a very bad set of policy choices that the central bank had, embarked upon. And then trying to unwind those policies is what's gotten us to where we are. Don't forget, Emefiele for 8 years, almost 8 years, was going on with policies that they call unorthodox, holding on to the currency, which led to this huge backlog of dollars that we have in our economy. So it was so Emefiele was propping up the currency artificially, right? And then you had the FX subsidy issues that were not dealt with by the previous government. So once the new government decided to act on some of those reforms, it led to a spike in inflation, right? So when they removed subsidy, inflation went up. Of course, trying to make the FX issue a market FX rate and market rate also led to imported inflation, and also people just adjusting their prices on a daily basis. There's also the issue of low dollar receipts by the NMPC. During the Jonathan, I think it's very important, during the Jonathan and Yar'Adua era, when you had Soludo and Sanusi as CBN governors, the Central Bank of Nigeria was the main place that our oil receipts, right, was domiciled, right? So when we sell oil, it goes to the CBN, right? And then the CBN now provides a Naira equivalent to the government, three arms of the government, right? What changed under Buhari was that those dollar receipts began to be placed with the NMPC, right? And the NMPC began to claim that because subsidy at 100% of their domestic oil production and sales of the domestic oil, then they don't have any money to remit to the Federation account. And even when they did remit, sometimes they remitted in Naira instead of dollars. So what that led to was 8 years of Buhari. There was no accretion in Nigeria's FX reserves. Remember that period, oil went as high as 100 and something. Sometimes it went as low as 20 or whatever during the COVID era. But all major oil exporters had major boosts to their dollar reserves, right? From Saudi Arabia to Russia to UAE,
even Angola.
Angola, yeah, they all boosted dollar reserves, right? Saudi Arabia grew its reserves to over 700-800 billion. Russia about 600-700 billion. So when you look at the level of some of those countries, they were, it's not one-to-one, but they were producing about maybe 8 times what Nigeria was producing. So if you do the math, it should have been close to 100 billion, right? Based on what they were growing their reserves to. But we are stock gross reserves at about $33 billion. Net reserves are even less, right? Because that takes into account the CBN dollar liabilities, right? Okay. So that's the problem that Cardoso finds himself in. And then, it seems like there's no big grand strategy, right? There's a lot of circulars coming out every day. Circular on IMTO, circulars on oil companies remitting their funds, repatriating their funds, so a lot of it seems a little bit ad hoc, right? So we need a full strategy. Thankfully, there's an MPC meeting coming up next week, Monday and Tuesday. And everybody, not just in Nigeria, everybody, all the fund managers in the world are waiting to see what the central bank does. And they need to really come out with a blast, right? If not, Naira is going to go much lower, because if he disappoints the markets with what he announces on that day, it's also going to be bad for the Naira. So hopefully they have a strategy that, they're going to, all-encompassing strategy that they're going to announce next week, Monday, Tuesday. And why it's important is the first MPC meeting he's going to hold since he took office. They are supposed to be held every 2 months, but he has not held one since September when he took office. So that's why everybody is looking forward to that meeting.
What he has to say.
It's going to be a big one, the first one, and one amidst everything that is going on. So we watch and wait to see the results of that particular meeting. But Patrick, you talked about dollar reserves earlier on and all that. Now we know that the CBN doesn't manufacture dollars. Obviously, I mean, it's not a Nigerian currency. So is there too much attention being paid to the central bank right now? Is it warranted, or is it over the top?
I would say it's a little bit warranted, because every other source of dollar inflow has pretty much left the country. The foreign portfolio guys are not coming in as much as they used to. Both in the bond space and on the equity side, right?
Okay.
Remittances are coming in, but a lot of it are being offshore, right? I think the CBN addressed this sometime in the last month, right? So a lot of it is not real dollars flowing in. It's just people send dollars, and somehow the international money transfer organizations, they just credit the Naira and they don't really bring the dollar into the country. What else? Exports, like I said just now, NNPC is not remitting the dollar export proceeds. So everybody's looking to the central bank to see what they're going to do. In the past, the CBN probably did, and I'm talking about between 2007 to like 2014, CBN probably did between 40 and 60% of dollar sales in the interbank market, right? So you have the rest of the guys, the exporters, the foreign portfolio guys, the remittance guys, all bringing in dollars to pick up the slack from the CBN. But right now, all of that dollar inflows are pretty much vanished because of not Mr. Cardoso's fault, because of, like I said in the past, the poor policies of the previous administration. And so the central bank, working with the federal government, they need to find a way to try and get some of this dollar inflows back. But also the big one is getting NNPC to get his hands off Nigeria's oil sales proceeds, and let those proceeds flow into the central bank, so that the CBN can begin to build some firepower with which to defend the Naira. If not, it's going to be pretty bad pretty soon. It's there's no end in sight unless something big happens.
Unless something big happens, and we hope that something big happens really, really soon, so that this downward spiral can actually be arrested and we can begin to climb up once again. We can't have this conversation this evening without talking about the exchange rate. That is a very big elephant in the room, which we shall address on the other side of this quick breather. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Keep listening, because the marketplace right here on the Smooth Drive on Smooth 98.1 will continue. This is like
I think because we've already used it. So every time you use it, it will go down.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the marketplace right here on Smooth 98.1, where we love music and we love life. My name is Ayo, and Joy is right here with me in the studio as well. And our special guest, Patrick Atuanya. He is the publisher, MoneyCentral Media Limited. And we've been talking about the CBN as well as the difficult job of CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso, talking about the Naira, the economy, what we can do to arrest the downward spiral and keep moving up and up and up, because up is the only way we need to go right now. You can join the conversation as always by sharing your thoughts on WhatsApp, any questions you might have, any contributions, any observations that you might have about this particular issue. Share them with us. Let's know what you're thinking. The number is 0809 440 981, 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number.
All right. So talking about FX and all that, I know that the dollar presently in the parallel market is about 1,600. So at some point, someone was asking me today if it has gotten to 2,000, and I'm like, no, please don't give us a heart attack.
Calm down. Calm down.
Let's not be in a rush. And yes, Nigerians are lamenting about how how the exchange rate is weak, but do we actually understand the dynamics of the dollar demand and supply? I'd like you to actually help break that down.
All right, so they might not, Nigerians, the average Nigerian might not understand dynamics of demand and supply, but they feel it in their everyday purchases, right? School fees has gone up, rent has gone up. Cement today has, I heard, is around 10,000 naira.
Depends on where you live.
Okay, yeah, you know. So food prices have gone up.
Yeah.
So everything that's pretty much gone up. So for the demand and supply imbalance, it's largely as a result of the backlogs that are built over the years.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, the doors were kind of opened, right? Flung open by the new administration, right? So, and there was not enough thought given to the supply to meet that demand. I think there was a sense that because the price has adjusted, it has given enough haircut to some people, which would have led to them taking their losses and, you know, taking their money out of the country at a lower level. But the backlog keeps growing, or the demand keeps growing. So we really have a supply problem. Is like everything. If there's fuel scarcity today, and fuel is around 610 per liter. If there's fuel scarcity today and people go to queue at the filling stations, you'll see some people carrying jerry cans, trying to sell you black market dollars, right? Also black market fuel, right? And sometimes those fuel they might sell it to you at 2,000 naira per liter, and people will be like, yeah, I want to buy. They might sell it to you at 3,000 naira per liter, and people will be like desperate to buy. So that's pretty much what's happening in the foreign exchange market. There's not enough dollars. There's not enough supply of dollars to supply the market, and the demand is so high that people are willing to buy. Because 2 weeks ago, people were buying at 1.4, right? So today they're buying at 1.6. They want to take it at 1.6 because tomorrow it might get 1.8 and then 2,000. So that's kind of the analogy. So we need a massive influx of supply. I would have thought what the CBN and the federal government should have done was to work on a big kind of asset sale, right? Just a big bazooka kind of shock to the system that brings in 20, 30, $40 billion at once, right? So like Nigeria has a lot of assets. You have JV assets, oil assets. The government has about 55% of JV assets. They could sell that down to 45% or 40%, right? All across board. The Shell assets, the Shell JV, the Exxon Mobil JV, across board, right? About 5 different JVs. That alone anyway could probably bring you anywhere between 30, 40, $50 billion, right? And with that, you can actually arrest the problem because they see a big, whoever is trying to speculate against the Naira sees that there's a big firepower, big bazooka of dollars, right? Firepower of dollars that the CBN is going to use to defend the Naira. And then that just makes people that are speculating to stop speculating. It makes people that are bringing forward their demand to now maybe, instead of, I need dollars for this year. Instead of buying everything now, I can buy every quarter. So that reduces the demand. And of course, they settle the backlog of demand that is in the system, the dollar backlog in the system. So we need a real big shock. It's kind of supply shock. We're going through a demand shock right now, and these little policies here and there is not going to cut it. We need something big to arrest the slide.
All right.
Talking about something big to arrest the slide. Let's talk about FX swaps. We actually understand that they are somewhat of a liquidity management tool. Now, could you just explain to us why these FX swaps are actually used?
All right, so it's part of the problem that the Emefiele got the central bank into when he was experimenting with his unorthodox policies. He began to take dollars from the banks and other financial services firms within the country because nobody would loan Nigeria money out there, right? Or if they were going to loan us money, it was going to be at a very high interest rate. Yeah, very high yields. So an FX swap is basically the central bank is availed dollar liquidity from the banks, and then the central bank gives the banks Naira, the Naira equivalent, and there's a tenure. So it could be for a 1-year period or 2-year period. Over the time of that tenure, the central bank is supposed to pay interest to the banks who they are borrowing. They're basically borrowing the dollars from the banks, right, and paying interest. And then after a 1-year period or 2-year period, they are meant to return the dollars, right? And then the banks return the Naira. So it was a way to avail FX liquidity to the Central Bank of Nigeria. So that has happened, but what we hear is that those FX swap positions have ballooned, not just because the central bank has not paid them back, but also because the Naira rate has also, gone from around at the end of 2022. The rate, one of the financials that we read, this was of the NSIA, the rate that the match those dollars to market was around 445 naira per dollar. We all know what the dollar rate is now. So if they're going to market to market today, you can expect how much those swaps will be on their books that the CBN has to refund to them. So that's another issue that the CBN has not addressed, and is also why there is no confidence in the dollar reserve numbers that the CBN is posting. If you remember, the JP Morgan came out and said that the CBN net reserve was close to $3 billion.
Okay.
If you go to the central bank's website, they'll tell you that they have $33 billion in dollar reserves. But a lot of those reserves, those are gross numbers, right? So gross does not take account of all the loans they've taken, like the swaps and other loans they've taken, which they've not paid back. So that's why there's also lack of currency. So the CBN has to come clean with the level of their swap positions, how they intend to pay back, to give more clarity to the markets on where they stand.
Okay.
All right. Now, we actually understand that the CBN still owes commercial banks a backlog of FX swaps. Now, looking at this, at the big picture right here, and looking at the FX liabilities facing the CBN, what exactly is the way out of this rabbit hole? Well, it's deeper than rabbit hole, but you get the point.
Well, I think so. The swap number is our banking sources, a very high level banking source, who should know what they are talking about. They put the swap level at $21 billion. That number was given to us around September of last year. So that's the number we have at the latest. The latest disclosure we have from just one of the firms that offered some swaps to the central bank, the NSIA, that's the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority. The swap position as at top quarter of 2023 was 797 billion naira, which was equivalent to about $893 million. That was as at the top quarter of 2023. That's just one. It's not even a bank. It's just one financial services firm with a moderate balance sheet, about $2 billion in its balance sheet. So you can imagine how big exposure the banks have. I think the way out is to build reserves. The central bank has to find an innovative way to build the reserves, working with the federal government, because they can't do it alone. So there are multiple things they can do. Under Emefiele, who was one of the worst central bank governors in my lifetime, Nigeria was kicked out of the JP Morgan sovereign bond index, FTSE frontier market index. These are indexes that took so much time and effort for us to get into. And what getting into those indexes means is that you are guaranteed a certain amount of inflows from fund managers who are tracking Nigerian equities. Global fund managers are tracking Nigerian equities or Nigerian bonds, right? In an index. So we are guaranteed, I think the JP Morgan index, I think we're guaranteed about $1 billion a quarter or something like that. So about $3-4 billion was supposed to be coming into the country. A little bit less from the equity index. There should be an audit of the NNPC. Where exactly is our oil? Because we're an oil producing economy. Where is the money? Nobody knows. There should be a major audit of the NNPC. And then the government should find some innovative ways, maybe sell some assets and get major dollar liquidity back into the country. Doing $1 billion here, $1 billion, there's not going to cut it when you have such a huge backlog.
All right. Interesting stuff. Okay.
Okay. So I just wanted to quickly, I know that we've almost run out of time, probably in a minute or less, if you can. What exactly do foreign investors want to see from Nigeria before FX can actually come back into the country and it flow back into the system?
They need to see confidence. There's a lack of confidence in the ability of the central bank to do what is needed. So there's a lack of confidence in holding naira assets. There's a lack of confidence that if they bring their money in, they'll be able to get it out without taking a haircut.
All right.
Don't forget, someone had brought in their money at 1,000. They've already taken almost a 60% haircut, just like that, right? It's already 1,006. So if they brought in their money at, if you brought in $1 million at 1,000 to 1, if you want to take that same $1 million out at 1,006, you're already at a loss.
Indeed,
you've not even maybe built your factory, invested in labor, or if you're investing in bonds, you have to hold the bond for a period of time before you get your return. And when you now get your return, you want to take your money out, you're already at a loss because the exchange rate has moved so much against you. So they're not going to bring their money in that kind of environment. So they need confidence in the naira, confidence in the central bank, confidence in the policies, and they're not just seeing it. They're just not seeing it right now. And Nigerians are not seeing it right now too. Not just the foreign guys. Nigerians are not seeing. Nigerians don't have that confidence.
Confidence is key. That is something that needs to be restored. Confidence at home and abroad as well. Thank you so much, Patrick. We'll be talking to Patrick Atuanya, the publisher of MoneyCentral Media, and we'll be talking about the difficult job facing the CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso. Thank you so much, Patrick, for breaking it all down and giving us a better understanding of what the issues are, where we are right now, and where we need to be in the future. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
All right, much appreciated. And thank you for being a part of the marketplace. We do this every Monday at 5:15 p.m. Do stick around because this News Drive with Joy and Ayo will kick on. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.